We will first, thanks, Jess. We will first hear from Megan about EnergyLab's Women in Clean Technology Fellowship. And then I'll share some insights into our global clean tech competition and what we have done to be gender inclusive. And then I'm really excited to also hear from Michelle about the launch of their new Women in Clean Tech group. So Megan, would you like to share your screen from here?
Yes, when I need to pop up a slide, I will certainly do so. Thank you very much, Sina. It's great to be here with everyone today. So my name is Megan Fisher. I'm the CEO of EnergyLab. EnergyLab's been around since 2017, and we're an impact-focused not-for-profit with the mission of helping founders in climate tech startups so that they can really create, scale, and roll out their solutions, helping us to decarbonise the world and mitigate the risks of climate change, very relevant given some of the events that are occurring in Australia right now. So today I wanted to spend a bit of time talking about the gender gap, and that's in particular in founders of startups across the board, but definitely in clean tech and climate tech startups. So I'm going to start by sharing some data that I've gathered on this topic. Now it'll be a bit sobering. I'll share a little bit of a win though that we've got as well, some theories on why this gender gap exists. And then I'm going to talk to you about a program that EnergyLab has been running for a little while now to do our part in addressing this issue. So I've got some stats to read, so forgive me when I read them out, I can't remember them all. So in a report from James Tilbury, who's the founding director of EnergyLab, called Clean Tech Startups and the SDGs, dated July 2020, the analysis found that from our database, EnergyLab's database, showed that across all clean tech categories, only 17% of founders of startups were female-led. Now, to compound that gap and that disadvantage when it comes to obtaining investment, women-founded startups across all industries only get 2.3% of venture capital, and that's from Crunchbase for 2021. So that is very, very recent data. Now, at the end of 2021, Holland IQ launched its first ever, which is amazing. If you haven't seen it, go and have a look at it. Its first ever Climate Tech 1000 startups from across the world, listing the top startups that they'd discovered. Now, of those 1,000 startups, only 92 had a woman CEO or co-founder. That's 9.2%, easy calculation out of 1,000. But there is a little win in that of that tiny number, 92 out of 1,000, 11 of them were actually founders of Australian startups, which is great to see. So I wanted to share with you who those women are. So you can see here, we've got some faces I'm sure many of you might be familiar with. Some of them were mostly familiar, but some of them were new to me too. So we've got Camille, who is an ex-EnergyLab member actually, so we know her very, very well, and she's been through our programs, who kicked off Bloom Impact Investing. Catherine Long from Trace, Dr. Gemma Green, who's been working on blockchain solutions for sharing for quite some time from Power Ledger, Joanne Howarth from Planet Protector Packaging, Julie Razor from Ulu, Juliette Murphy, Catherine McConnell, who is not only in this list, but also Bright is Australia's first unicorn in this space as well. So a double barrel there. Christy from Harvest Bee, Nancy Shellhorn from Rapid Aim, Olympia Jaeger from Gotera, and Phoebe Gardner from Bardi. And I might have missed some. So this was from myself going through those lists, that actual list. So bad news on one side, small percentage of founders, but Australia is definitely batting above its weight. And imagine what that list would look like if we had proper equal representation in women founders in Australia. Could you imagine what that list would look like? It would be absolutely incredible if we could get that up. So an additional perspective on this was released just last week from Cut Through Ventures and Folklore Ventures, this State of Australian Startup Funding. Now, this was generic across all sectors, so not just clean tech and climate tech. And it found that female founders were involved in 19% of the venture deals and received 22% of total funding in 2021, 29% of angel pre-seed funding, which was higher than what they'd get in later stages. And 5 of the 10 largest deals involved a woman in the founding team. But just 2% of the money went to women-only founder teams. So what we're seeing here, which is unfortunate, but I know it from talking to female founders, is that they're more likely to get money when they've got co-founders that are men. I haven't dived into that in any particular way. It's just coming out in the data and in the anecdotal evidence that this is the case. Now, the reports and the articles, when I've done the reading on this topic over a period of time, suggest that the cause lies in, it's multifaceted, but the cause lies in a lack of women founder role models, a lack of appropriate experience, and that doesn't mean women don't have experience, but it means that they're less likely to have those experiences at the top of an organisation, or in clean tech, less likely to have those experiences around engineering, which is often very important in this sector. A lack of access to support and guidance and capital, so money, due to male-dominated mentoring and financing networks, making it hard to get the connections that you need to grow, and systematic bias in relation to the expected traits of a typical woman entrepreneur versus a stereotyped woman. So this is a complex issue. I hate to dump all that ugly data on you, but I think it's important to understand the situation. And I don't have all of the answers, but I will just briefly talk about a program that EnergyLab's been doing for a little while. So we're doing what we know how to do best, which is support founders. In 2019, we launched the Women in Climate Energy Fellowship, designed to create, I guess, mentoring, coaching, networking and investment opportunities for women to help them launch a startup. We've had 4 cohorts since then with 71 women that have gone through the program, and we definitely see great results in terms of increasing confidence in launching a startup, increasing capability, increasing intention to launch a startup, and we've certainly had women launch a startup as a result. So we focus on our amazing network of angel investors, of mentors, of experts, of alumni, to help provide the people going through the program with those great connections that are just so important when kicking off a startup. And we also share lots of stories about role models in our network as well. And I'll just show you some of those that we've shared over the past little while. So we've shared quite a few through of our cohort alumni, and Noreen is a fantastic example of that we share on LinkedIn. The wonderful Vicky Featherston, another alumni, and her startup, which is all about HVAC and energy efficiency. Mahin as well, her story is just excellent in terms of her focus in climate tech. And then we also share stories on our mentors that we have going through. So really trying to create that difference around seeing women role models who are founders. So if the program's of interest, we're always looking for expressions of interest. You can go onto our website and sign up now. Otherwise, we'll be running the program later on in the year. Thank you for that race through. Michelle, over to you now, I think. Or Sina, I might hand back to you as the facilitator.
Of course, yeah. Thank you, Megan. That was really insightful. And I really like that you brought up the systemic bias that we're still facing in that space, especially when we think about those investment pitches that happen and that unconscious bias that often takes place during those question and answer situations. And yeah, I'd love to come back to that later on during our discussion as well. And thank you so much for showing some of the role models, because we know that there is a lack of visibility for women in clean tech. And we working in that space, and all the women who are joining us today working in that space, we know how many role models are out there. So giving platform to them and accelerating them and highlighting them is such a good way to support this. So thanks for doing that today. So yeah, I think I might just share a little bit about Climate-KIC Australia, and I'm trying to bring the global lens in terms of what we have done in our innovation program to make it more gender inclusive. And then hopefully I can also highlight a few female founders and women innovators who came through our program. So bear with me, and then Michelle, we hand straight over to you to tell us a little bit more about the climate, the Women in Climate group that you are launching soon. Great. So Climate-KIC EIT is the European Union's major climate innovation initiative with projects and programs across 26 EU countries, and we are their sister organization, Climate-KIC Australia. We are an independent not-for-profit, and our role is that of a broker of collective action. So what we do is that we convene the most effective groups across industry, government, research, entrepreneurs, NGOs, and investors. And together we try to develop and deploy transformative innovation initiatives. And our learnings and our portfolios of projects, they're deeply linked with our partners in Europe. So the innovation we are driving forward happens across multiple levers of change, and our entrepreneurial program really focuses on business and technology. And this is where our flagship program, ClimateLaunchpad, plays a crucial role. So ClimateLaunchpad is the world's biggest clean tech and green business ideas competition. And every year, Climate-KIC goes around the world and finds innovators and early stage entrepreneurs with new clean tech and climate tech ideas. And then Climate-KIC Australia facilitates it here across 5 different states. So launched in 2014, we're in our 6th year of operation here in Australia in terms of ClimateLaunchpad, and our startup teams that came out of this program that we're running across 55 countries by now, they have created over 8,000 jobs, and they have raised over 100 million euros in revenue. And in 2020, we did a global survey across those 55 competing countries and asked how many of you are still in business. And it was wonderful to see that more than 70% of our alumni worldwide is still in business, so still having their startups up and running. So what is ClimateLaunchpad? Really quick. Our teams of entrepreneurs and innovators, they go through a rigorous training program that includes multi-day boot camps, webinars with international coaches, personal mentors, and then we provide opportunities to pitch at state, national, and international pitching opportunities. And a few things that are quite special here and that really also helps to engage more women is that the program is completely free of charge. It doesn't take any equity. It doesn't take any IP. And it's really a program that provides pathways across the world in Australia for those early stage innovators to develop further. And that's where, especially with EnergyLab, we've been working over years to create those pathways from one program into the other, and the same across the country with partners like Melbourne University and Sydney's Fishburners and Catalyzer and others. So the other special thing about the program, and that's where I'm trying to bring in the global lens, is that we try to provide the technical capacity to provide tools to assess climate impact and teach our teams how to communicate climate impact as a competitive advantage of their startup. And we're trying more and more to encourage our winners to identify their own transformative potential. And really what we mean here is that it's not just about attracting venture capital, but it's also about engaging meaningfully in the context of innovation, system level change. And I can say a few words around that later on. But yeah, our main goal is to create this global community focused on supporting climate entrepreneurship. So how have we done that? Our colleagues in Europe over those last couple of years, they have conducted a global gender mainstream study that added a deliberate lens to improve gender inclusiveness in its specific Climate Launchpad program. And so there are a few things that we have implemented since then. We have EU certified trainers that travel across the world or it's currently online to train our startup teams. And they have now taken on a role of actually training leaders, community leaders, especially in developing countries. And we have a special focus on training female leaders in those communities, such women with influence in their community, to become trainers themselves and being able to deliver that entrepreneurial capability building within their own communities. And it's quite successful, so we're quite keen to continue that across all the countries that are currently participating. Then similar to what Megan already said, a big lens on gender diversity on all levels, mentors and judges. And then this year we're making an extra effort to look into our judging process, so that unconscious bias that happens during investment pitches, that obviously also happens during pitches in a competition like this. And we make an effort now to really train our judges on how to assess pitches without gender bias and brief them in particular around unconscious gender bias. So for example, men or male startup founders in a pitch or in an investment pitch are often asked about how they're going to win and dominate the market, whereas women often get the questions around risk mitigation and the prevention of losses. And so really making sure that there is that understanding of that happens and how we can avoid it. And then, finally, standing on the shoulders of giants. Again, working with EnergyLab has been amazing. Many of your female founders that came out of the fellowship have continued in ClimateLaunchpad and vice versa. The beautiful people at Catalyzer and YGAP have been a huge support in giving some advice. So a huge thank you to our community to help us to make this more gender inclusive too. So last but certainly not least, and most importantly, they are our female founders and women innovators who have walking the talk and have broken the bias. So in 2017, many of you would know Ashley and Janie Morris. They are the founders of Choreo. They won in 2017 nationally. And by now they are one of Australia's most and upcoming circular economy advisory firms. They're working with L'Oreal, Lend-Lease, the UN, and many more across the world. In 2018, Naomi Tarshish, she founded Replated. When we met her, it was just an idea. And now in her first year as being a B Corp, she was actually rated into the top 5% of B Corps in the world. So amazing to see her progress. 11 Store, once again, an incredible female founder group based at Deakin University, so really deep tech innovators. They won the national and international pitch finals. Out of around 3,000 applications that we received worldwide, they made it into the top 16, got into a very well-known
might have a little bit of a hiccup there.
Yeah, it looks like Sina has frozen up. I'll finish her thought about C Labs.
Great, thanks. Thanks, Jess.
I'll turn on my camera so that people can see me. Yes, so C Labs was our national finalist of Climate Launchpad in 2021. And made it into the Climate-KIC Climate Accelerator, which is quite prestigious, only for the top 16 in the world, as Sina said, out of out of over 3,000 applicants. So Climate Launchpad sort of acting as a research commercialization vehicle as well, and we do find that those teams perform really well internationally. So I guess I'll throw it over to Michelle, and you can talk about your experiences with the National Cleantech Conference and Exhibition, and the Women in Cleantech platform that you guys are about to launch. Take it away, Michelle.
Great. Thanks, Jess. So I'm Michelle. I'm the event director for the National Cleantech Conference and Exhibition. So we've been running for just over 3 years now, and we've had a few struggles with delivering this event due to COVID. So last year we did a virtual event. And then this year, planning the conference, we noticed during our program development stage that it was really obvious the female, the difference between how many men we have represented in this industry as opposed to the women, and the significant lack thereof. And it was obvious to us that there needed to be some way to bridge that gap, and how do we fill that? So the conference this year focuses on business growth, which is more around focusing on startups and accelerators, and what tools do they need to be able to deliver, getting their business or their idea to the next level, and how do they protect their ideas as well. And then we have our sustainable solutions as well, and that is around just how the title is, the solutions around sustainability for a greener future for business and the economy, and the case studies around that. So with those two sessions, we did find a huge gap, and it was decided that we were to launch a Women in Cleantech networking group. So the start of that was that we would do a networking event focused on the conference attendees, but also creating a community on that as well that goes beyond just our conference barriers. So we started a LinkedIn group, and we have a website page as well now. And that really focuses on just having an open conversation and being able to bring all the tools available to women within this industry together. And our focus for this in particular group is to connect with organisations like Climate-KIC and EnergyLab, and to promote their initiatives that they have focusing particularly on women, and to also have an opportunity to do get-togethers, to advertise job opportunities and bursaries and things like that. We have a lot of discussions happening at the moment around some future organisations that will offer some bursaries and opportunities for some funding available specifically to women. So that was really the idea around creating this group, and to grow this as a national homegrown network, as opposed to some of the international organisations that represent women in this industry. We felt that something really needed to be here and focused on women here in Australia, and the opportunities that you have here in Australia, because they are here. We just need to be providing a platform to collectively bring them all together. And doing this with EnergyLab and Climate-KIC is that first step for us to be able to bring this together, and having you guys here. So definitely I encourage you to join our network, and to share your ideas and share your thoughts. We also just share some good news feeds as well, and we celebrate other women, and just try to keep motivation, and to show that if you are focused and you're willing, that there are opportunities and perfect examples of women who are breaking those barriers, which is amazing to see. Megan mentioned Camille earlier as one of their alum, and they're also a alum of Climate-KIC as well. So she'll be speaking at our opening session, and that is why climate tech is now why we need it. So she'll be speaking on a panel and representing us with some other really strong individuals as well. We also have Jess who is our virtual MC, and she is from STAR. So we have a lot of support from them as well. So she'll also be hosting our Women in Cleantech networking event on the Sunday. So we hope to be able to see some of you there. We also have an amazing announcement to bring to that networking event. So if you have any questions, please let us know. But I just really wanted to focus on how we can bring both Climate-KIC and all of those individual organisations together into one platform. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Michelle, and apologies for the dropout earlier, but I see you've taken over wonderfully. That's perfect. Yeah, amazing initiative. Can you remind us, and you might have said it at the beginning, when is the launch of this?
Yep, so we are doing the first networking event on Sunday, the 27th of March, so just before the conference. So you don't need to attend the conference to attend the networking event. And you don't need to identify as female either. So if you wanted to bring a colleague or a mentor who may just be, or a partner just to support you, we are very much wanting it to be a very inclusive group and to celebrate everybody who supports women. So bring your partners as well, bring that support, whether that be male, female, anything that, you know, we just want to be able to, it to be a safe and connective place and for everybody to network.
Wonderful, thank you. And just quickly, is it all in person or are there ways of actually calling in?
For the Women in Cleantech, we do have our community group on Facebook and our mailing list. And for the conference, we do have a virtual platform available as well. So you're more than welcome to register in person and attend in Brisbane, or we do have that virtual component where you can attend at any time throughout at anywhere. So we'll have the content available for a month after the conference as well. So anything that you wanted to revisit, that will be available to you as well.
Perfect, thank you. And I've just popped up a bit of a keep in touch slide. So just always feel welcome to connect and reach out. I can see there are a few questions around the fellowship and Launchpad and the group. So yeah, feel free to connect and continue the conversation. I would really like to just open up some space for discussion. If you feel like sharing some experiences or some stories over your lunch with us, we would really, really appreciate that. If there are any questions, there's a good space to ask them now. You can either just you can put them in the chat, or if you want, just raise your hand. We can see you and we can unmute you so we can actually have a conversation. I'll just give everyone a couple of minutes to see if any questions are coming up.
I do often find that I know there's you know, a few of us here. So if it's something, and I do note that the session's being recorded, but if it's something that you just want to have a chat in a small group of people about, we can definitely stop the recording and have an appropriate chat. So if that's stopping you from asking those questions, just let us know and we'll change it.
Yeah, very good. Very good prompt. Thanks, Megan. Jess, maybe if you're okay, we can just stop recording now.